An important question worth answering is, why is it so important to include a warm-up before I practice or play? With schedules being so busy, for some of us, it can be difficult just to find the time to practice regularly anyway. And it might seem at first that adding a warm-up routine beforehand is just something that's going to take extra time. But the fact of the matter is, having a proper warm-up before we practice means that our minds and our bodies are really going to be prepared to get the most out of that practice time. So with a proper warm-up, we can actually practice for less time because we're getting more out of the time that we're behind the kit. Also, drumming is a very physical instrument. And just like it's important for somebody who's going to go play a game of basketball or jog a few laps to do some stretching first, it's important for us to stretch our drumming muscles, not only to prevent injury, but also so that our bodies are going to be ready to do the very best that they can behind the drums. Once we know how to warm up properly, a warm-up can take as short as 3 to 5 minutes. And I guarantee you that time will be time very well spent. Because it's important for a warm-up to be slow and easy, a warm-up is a great opportunity for us to bring in the new techniques that we're working on at that particular time in our drumming life. One of the most important lessons a drummer can learn is sound before speed. If we're trying to teach our body a new technique, if our body's trying to learn a new movement or motion, the best way to learn that is to do that motion perfectly, very slow, and be very relaxed. That way our muscle memory can learn the motion properly, and at that point it's time to speed up. Now, since this video series is geared mostly toward beginners, I'm going to be showing you guys some of the beginning exercises that I first learned when I was learning my first warm-ups, and the ones that I teach my beginning students today. The first exercise is a great one to just bring some movement into our wrists at the beginning of our drumming day. And it's a great exercise for new students to learn the feel of letting the stick rebound naturally. And what we do is we hold our sticks normally, except we want to be as loose as possible. We're really just holding on just tight enough so that the sticks aren't falling out of our hands. And one by one, we're going to go ahead and just hit the drum, nice and slow. The only intention here is to stay nice and loose and let the stick bounce on its own. So my wrist is causing the first hit, but every bounce after that is the stick bouncing naturally, and my hand is just staying as relaxed as possible to let the stick bounce as many times as it can on its own. And of course, it's important for us to breathe nice and slow anytime that we're playing the drums. Once we've done that first exercise back and forth a few times and we feel our wrist start to loosen up, it's time to move on to the next one. The next warm-up that I'd like to show you is called 8 on a hand. And it's part of a school of exercises generally called legato exercises. And what that means is we're using full repetitive strokes. For this exercise, each hand is going to play by itself 8 times, and then we switch to the next hand. And we go back and forth a total of 4 times. I have my metronome set to 100, so the quarter note equals 100 beats per minute. But my hands are going to be playing eighth notes, which are twice as fast. So my hands are going to play twice as fast as a metronome sounds. We're going to go 8 off the right, 8 off the left, and then repeat that a total of 4 times. And it goes like this. So you want to make sure that you're using nice full strokes. You want to breathe. You want to make sure that every other time you hit the drum it's landing with your metronome. And most importantly, what this is going to do is it's going to start to warm up the underside of your wrist and the under part of your forearm. And it's going to also help teach you to stay relaxed and to let the stick bounce. On the way down, you do the work. On the way up, the stick does the work. So you want to try to stay out of the way of the rebound every time that stick bounces up. Now that we've done a warm-up that focuses on full strokes, it's time to move on to a warm-up that incorporates both full strokes and low strokes. These exercises are generally called accent tap exercises or two-heighted exercises because they incorporate both the high strokes in between lower notes. For this one, we're going to use the same form as the last one, 8 off the right and 8 off the left, except it's going to follow a pattern of one accented note, so one high note followed by 2 low notes. The very end of each phrase, it's going to be one high note followed by one low note, and then we switch to the opposite hand. I still have my metronome set at 100, and this exercise looks like this. So when doing this exercise, it's important that when we're going from that high note to that low note, that the stick doesn't rebound. So it's something that a lot of people refer to as a dead stroke. It starts tall and ends low, as opposed to something like that, right? Where the stick rebounds and then we adjust to make that low stroke. You want to just keep the stick low after you hit that accented note and then play those lower notes. This exercise is really going to come in handy behind the drum kit when you're trying to do quicker accented patterns like that around the drums. The final exercise for today incorporates single stroke rolls, double stroke rolls, and paradiddles. The single stroke is when each hand just plays one right after the other. Right, left, right, left, right, left. And the double stroke is when each hand plays twice, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. Paradiddle is when each hand plays once, followed by a double hit off of the first hand. Paradiddle, 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 and so on. So for this exercise, we're just going to play the single stroke 4 times, followed by the double stroke 4 times, followed by the paradiddle 4 times, and then we start right back over. I've got my metronome set to quarter note equals 92 beats per minute, and what I'm going to be playing is 16th notes. So the first note of each rudiment lands with the metronome, and then I play a total of 4 notes before the next note from the metronome comes. And this exercise looks like this. Now while we're playing this exercise, one thing that it's good to listen for is an evenness in notes. So the timing is the same. The space in between the notes never changes. There's no hiccups as you move from one rudiment to the other. But also that the volume level and the accent level of each note sounds the same. A good test is bring a friend in the room, have them close their eyes, and see if they can tell when you switch from one rudiment to the other. If they can't and all your notes sound the same, you know that you're doing a really good job. Thanks for joining me today for a quick discussion and some examples on how to warm up. I hope that this video has been helpful to you, and most importantly, I hope that it helps you to incorporate a good warm-up into your regular practice routine. Of course, if you have any questions or if you want to learn some other warm-ups that you can do, you can reach me through my website, danbarman.com, and also there you'll find links to the other Drumming 101 video series videos. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.